Good evening to everyone who's joined us online. We just want to request for 5 minutes of your time as we allow other members to join, to log on. We are here, don't go anywhere. Please stay with us. We will be starting shortly. Thank you. Good evening to all the convocation members here today. Welcome to our third and final annual general meeting as the Convocation Executive of the University of Johannesburg. It really gives me a pleasure to welcome you all and to say we are looking forward today to really engage in this last AGM as the executive. As we start our program today, I hope everybody has received the agenda and the minutes of the day. We are going to go directly to point 2. I will do my detailed welcome when I do my address as the president. Point 2 of our agenda is the document for reference purposes. We have sent the documentation to all members in terms of the constitution of the convocation Annexure A for your noting. The constitution had gone through various reiterations and it was finally approved by the council, and we hope you have had the chance to go through it and identify or familiarize yourself with the content. We are going to point 3, the declaration of interest. We haven't received any declaration of interest, so we assume that all members who are here today have no interest to declare. Confirmation of the agenda. As received, can I get any confirmation of the agenda by members? Confirmed. Thank you. Can I get any seconder?
This is Saurabh, seconded.
Thank you. Confirmed by Ms. Zanele Modiba and seconded by Prof. Saurabh Sinha. Thank you so much. We are now going to get into, we haven't received any supplementary items under item 10, so we are moving to item 5 of our agenda. Approval of the minutes of the AGM held on 13 October 2021. I would like to make a request, as we are having more members logging in and we have this item. Can I put this item on hold for us to actually approve later on when we have seen our numbers? In the case that we don't have a quorum to actually confirm, to approve the minutes, then the minutes will stand over to be round robin and they will be approved online. But for now, I would put item 5 on hold. Thank you very much. Going into item 6, address by the president of the convocation. It is sometimes challenging to be the chairperson and also be the one who has to address. Colleagues, alumni, convocants, let me start by addressing everyone who is here today and say, it really gives me a pleasure and I'm humbled to address you today, which is my third and final address as the president of the UJ Convocation. Let me first acknowledge Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, who is our incoming chancellor. Acknowledge our outgoing chancellor, Professor Njabulo Ndebele, the chairperson of the UJ Council, Mr. Mike Teke, who both happens to be my homeboy, as I am a girl from Duduza, and we happen to have gone to the same and matriculated in the same high school, Kenneth Masekela. Council members who have joined us, NEC, ELG, and SLG members who have joined us, convocation members, the UJ alumni, friends of the University of Johannesburg, the newly elected EXCO of the convocation, my current EXCO members, who are my pillar of strength in the 3 years, who've been my pillar of strength in the 3 years, and my leadership as I fondly address them. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Chilisi Marwala, who unfortunately couldn't join us today due to unforeseen circumstances. I like to greet you all and say Dumelang, Sanibonani, good evening. I'm humbled by the fact that I have been bestowed in the 3 years with the mammoth task of leading the UJ Convocation from the 15th of September 2019 up until the 14th of September 2022, a mere 12 days from today. Yes, it has been a challenging, yet value-oriented and goal-driven 3 years of our lives as the exco of the Convocation. As we took off what I would want to name Jet Flight Exco 2019 to Destination 2022, we found ourselves having to start on ground zero to rebuild the UJ Convocation. As the captain of this flight, I must admit, it started with many turbulences. At some stage, as the crew were almost grounded, even before we took off air. And we had to undergo some changes to the airplane crew. My pilot 101 skills had to come into place to ensure that we really take off this flight. I have to admit, at some stage, the changes brought fear, panic, anxiety, and not to mention countless sleepless nights. However, one thing I was certain of was that going back to the ground was not an option. We had to soldier on and endure the tough and rough bumps on the runways as we took off, trusting that our seat belts are tightly fastened. This I could not have done alone, therefore allow me an opportunity to acknowledge and say a big thank you to my flight crew members. My Deputy President, Mrs. Zanele Modiba, as my co-pilot. A big thank you to you, Deputy President. My flight engineer and navigator, Ms. Confidence Chilande, our representative on the council and a member of the executive. My cabin crew members, Ms. Timsizi Koza, who is also our council representative, and our second cabin crew members, Ms. Nondumiso Mvubu. As we continued to go on this flight, I'm eternally grateful for you as a team. Without you, this flight could have crashed at the beginning or even whilst we were still on air. Thank you to my A-team. NgesiZulu bathi, ukwanda kwalo mthakathi. I will leave this to Prof Kinta to interpret. As a Black woman, I'm not blind to the fact that I entered into office at a time when our country is faced with a myriad of social, economic, political, and educational ills that threaten the future of our country's youth. As we face, amongst others, challenges of widespread violence, drug and substance abuse, unemployment, poverty, and child abuse, gender-based violence, xenophobia, which negatively impacts on the social mental health, there is need to reflect on our ethical foundations and to expedite a transformation agenda that is holistic, radical, and serve the cornerstone of who we are as the UJ community. It is in such times that I find it more important for us as the University of Johannesburg to strengthen our convocation to increase our visibility to the communities we serve. As the convocation, we comprise of 3 major stakeholders, our alumni, you ladies and gentlemen who are here with us today, our permanent academic staff, and our retired academic staff. And the role of these 3 constituencies is to ensure that we promote the positive image and the reputation of the University of Johannesburg. We have to all ensure that we foster the sense of responsibility, and we are obligated and accountable towards the university and everybody related to it, more so its alma mater in particular. I want to say it is important for us to identify opportunities and the risks that put the University of Johannesburg at a point where we do not want to find ourselves. And I trust that together we can make a better UJ. The Alumni Office particularly facilitates and maintains effective contact with all of you as the UJ community alumni, and we are also ensuring that we involve all of you in important and sustainable activities of the university. Let me take this moment now to report on the activities of our 3-year in office. As the Jet Flight Expo 2019 took over, we met at the beginning of 2020 at our strategic plan to actually have our beautiful dreams. Little did we know that two months later, we would be hit by the COVID pandemic. And our plans seemed to be falling all flat. However, as I said, thank you to the brilliant executive that I've been leading this plane with. We had to come with plan B. We didn't allow everything to drop. Whilst our initial plans involved the following: having to build a female residence at our Soweto campus, to build an alumni house, to ensure that we remember our retired academic staff, to ensure that we have a graduate unemployment program, to establish affinity groups and chapters, to establish a wellness program, and to raise funds through our development and fundraising office. I have to say, the one ball that we had to give into, or we had to park, was the Soweto female residence. And it was purely because this project actually involved other stakeholders like the DHET, which unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, funds had to be redirected to other important activities that had to do with COVID-19. Let me then report on the activities that took place. The first one is the Graduate Unemployment and Entrepreneurship Portfolio under Ms. Zanele Modiba, our Deputy President. We are aware that unemployment in South Africa is a critical issue. So as the University of Johannesburg, we are not only worried about our graduates at the University of Johannesburg, but we are very worried about the unemployability of the youth in our entire country. Whilst we could have a lot of our UJ graduates employed, the reality is that if the other graduates in other institutions are not employed, they will still have an impact on our employed graduates. Therefore, graduate unemployability is a national crisis that we are, as the outgoing executive, looking forward to engage the nation with. I have to say, I was excited a week ago. I was attending a conference in Durban, the NASDEV conference, the National Development Student Conference, and I came to understand that there was an office called the Entrepreneurship Development in Higher Education, which sits in the DHET. And I am looking forward. I made contact with the director to say, as the executive of the University of Johannesburg and the incoming executive, would really want to engage them through in terms of the graduate unemployability, as we see this as an important aspect of who we are as the university. However, in the process of empowering our alumni, we have had various webinars that we had run through Mrs. Modiba's leadership, and these were well attended and focused on conversations that really look at tools that we want to share, that we had shared with you in terms of entrepreneurial insights. Our intention is to actually partner with incubators and job funders that will help us sustain the issue of employability and ensure that we reduce and tackle issues of unemployability in the country. We look forward to a robust entrepreneurial program for the 2022-2025 tenure, and we want to give over to the incoming EXCO to take this baton as we move forward to ensure that employability is at the key and at the heart of the Convocation EXCO. As we move forward and hand the baton to the EXCO, we want to say there are other partners out there, as I said. The EDHE is looking forward to work with us. USAF is looking forward to work with us, and the DHET is looking forward to work with us to ensure that student entrepreneurship and academic entrepreneurship takes place. But it also talks to us within the universities, with our pre-graduates, to ensure that we prepare them best for the world of work. And this is another challenge I want to give into the incoming EXCO. Our second project was the development and fundraising project under Ms. Confidence Chilande, who is our EXCO member and member of the council. Before I can talk about the development and fundraising project, let me take the moment to congratulate Ms. Chilande for the many achievements she has had while she was in office. To mention part one, she is one of the Mail and Guardian top 200 South Africans, and we are therefore grateful and want to congratulate her on having that position. Under her leadership, the Convocation has led the projects with the Development and Fundraising Office in terms of raising funds for the University of Johannesburg. I have to say, as a girl who went to a boarding school in Khamarishani in the then Leboa, if it was not of people who paid it forward through donations, I wouldn't have pulled through my high school life. So part of this particular unit, or the development and fundraising unit, is to ensure that we can support those of us who are really in higher education, but are struggling financially. If we, all of us who are the alumni of the University of Johannesburg, can make our little contributions towards fundraising and development, we could at least pay it forward for the next generation. But I want to urge you, dear alumni and Convocation members, paying it forward is only not through financial contributions. We want you to contribute your time, we want you to contribute your skills, and we want you to contribute your knowledge to make a UJ a better place. So your donations in the various aspects and your resources are welcome. A big thank you to all of you who contributed when we made a call towards the KZN disaster in this year. We are grateful for your contributions. Our next projects were the Alumni House, the Affinity Group and Chapters, the Wellness Portfolio, and the Retired Academics Campaign, which fell under my leadership. As you can see, my executive abused me, gave me more than one portfolio to lead when they only took one portfolio. But through them, we were able to do this. In the spirit of Ubuntu, Nokubuyisana, or coming together, the first phase of the Alumni Clubhouse at our Johannesburg Business School will commence in September, October 2022. A big congratulations to the Convocation executive. I was excited when we saw the plan, when we went through the plan, but I was even more excited when we were informed that we will be given funding and the plan is actually taking place in terms of the renovations in September, October. This house is envisaged to be a place where we lead consultatively and constructively and making wise decisions collectively to take the university forward. the spaces for the alumni, the academics, the affinity groups to host social events, networking sessions that will promote the University of Johannesburg. We also, when we started, planned to open affinity groups and chapters, which we didn't have as the University of Johannesburg. I am proud to say, through the alumni office, under the leadership of Mr. Nell Ledwaba, we were able to actually have a great breakthrough in that. We have launched 11 affinity groups since 2019 that aim to provide the networking platforms with the respective industries. And this is a great achievement for the 3 years, taking into consideration that we had a year and a half of inactivity due to COVID-19. So congratulations to Mr. Nell Ledwaba and the office for the hard work done. It doesn't go unrecognized. And we have to say, we are also proud that in 2021, we launched 2 chapters, the Gauteng chapter on the 26th of August, and the USA Alumni chapter on the 11th of November. And in 2022, we launched our first African international chapter in Zimbabwe on the 27th of August. It was really humbling for us when we were in Zimbabwe to see how our alumni in Zimbabwe were really putting the flag of the University of Johannesburg high in Zimbabwe. We are proudly African, and we are one and connected. We also have to say, in the process of the year and a half, as I said, the 1 year and a half was really a difficult one. We have also hosted 19 events that grew the visibility of the convocation and allowed our alumni to connect. The next project that I had in line was the wellness program. As I alluded at the beginning, that we hit the ground running, and COVID didn't make it any easier. We had to go back to the drawing board to look at how can we support our alumni in this difficult and challenging time. As we began to see the rise, in mental health issues of our community members. We thought mental health was important even for our alumni. In that respect, together with the university executive, we came to close a deal with a Life Health Solution, which is a service provider of our UJ wellness program, that we provided an alumni wellness program for our alumni. This wellness program is aimed at caring and giving confidential yet immediate family support to not only alumni members, but also their family members. So you will have to agree with me as the convocation members that we are here to work together to make a better UJ society. We are not only impacting our alumni members through the wellness program, but also their family members. The final project that was given to me was the Retired Academics Project. We will know that as the University of Johannesburg, we come from 2 institutions that had to merge. And it is through these 2 institutions that we had the University of Johannesburg. And in last year, as the convocation executive, we decided to host a successful retiring academics lunch in 2021 for the first time. This event was aimed at bringing back or bringing home the retiring staff that can give back to the University of Johannesburg through playing various roles of mentoring our junior staff, our students, and also our alumni. We have to admit and acknowledge that we have an aging academic staff in all academics in the country, and we have the young academics coming into play. And it is only through the retiring or the retired academic staff that we can actually build our academic world again. As I come to the conclusion of my speech, I need to say my address to you. I need to say, I want to invite you all to actually visit our alumni page, where you will see our alumni benefits and our media presence. We have various benefits for you that are exciting. If you see our benefits, you will register from Vision Active and come to our UJ gyms, as they are first, cheap. Secondly, you have the opportunity to go to 4 different gyms that are near you, but also there are other benefits that are very important for you as the alumni of the University of Johannesburg. In terms of our media space, since 2019, we have published 8 magazines, Alumni Impumelelo magazines, and we are to publish our 9th magazine in October this year, which will focus on the Faculty of Health Sciences. I think I saw the Dean of Health Sciences online. Prof. Khan, I think you'll be excited to know that our next magazine will focus on the Faculty of Health Sciences. And our second Convocation newsletter was released recently, now in August. So we are excited to say we are gaining visibility on our media spaces, on our LinkedIn spaces, on our Facebook spaces, on our Twitter and Instagram spaces. As we gracefully bow out of office, we salute you all. We wish to remind you once more, the struggle for the best UJ continues. As an international university of choice, anchored in Africa, dynamically shaping the world, will continue to inspire our community to transform and serve humanity through our innovation, our collaboration, and our pursuit for knowledge. We further pledge to live by the UJ values of imagination, conversation, regeneration, and ethical foundation. To my incoming ESCO that I will introduce at the end of this, surely, as someone once said, we have no silver, no gold to hand you. I'm not quoting from the Bible, I'm just saying. We have no silver, no gold to hand over to you, but believe you me, we have all great lessons learned in the 3 years to share with you and to even hold you by the hand as you hold office. We'll never leave you alone. We are in this together. So as you take the jet to the next level, we are looking forward to the Airbus 2022 to 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Diale, for that very successful journey that you shared with us. To you and your EXCO, this is really, a success story to be very proud of. So congratulations to you and your EXCO. Convocants, my name is Kinta Burger. I'm the Registrar. So I'm standing in for the Vice Chancellor, Prof. Chalitsi Marwala. Could not be here, unfortunately, but he sent his apologies. And he also just requested that I share some thoughts that he shared with you in this meeting. So I first want to also, on behalf of him, say thank you to all of you. He's greatly appreciative of what you've been doing, the many projects that you've implemented, and that you have really rebuilt the reputation of this convocation. Then he also wanted me just to share some feedback on where we are now currently in the university with regard to the achievements, but also just in terms of the transition periods awaiting us. But let me start off by also picking up on what the President said about the COVID period and the challenges of the last 2 years. So just to reflect slightly on what we have been doing over the past 2 years, we've shared it in previous communications as well. But as you know, we've implemented a vaccination policy. And I must say, I want to also just express our appreciation to our Convocation members and also in particular our Exco of Convocation for their support in implementing this. It was not an easy process to implement, as you can imagine, but it was in the end very successfully done. And so when we then opened, when the COVID regulations were lifted, when we opened also in accordance with the new protocols, June, July this year, we were standing at 98% of our staff that have been vaccinated and 95% of our undergraduate students that have been vaccinated, and approximately 70% of our postgraduate students. So in the end, what we aim to achieve, and that is to have a high number of our staff and students to be vaccinated, that was achieved. And of course, we are very grateful for everyone's support in making sure that it was implemented. But right at the beginning of this year, we realized that we need to bring back our students as soon as possible back to campus, and in particular our first year students. You will know that the transition period between grade 12 and first year, it's not an easy transition. And so in particular for the cohort of students that came in this year, after they had 2 years of lockdown as grade 11 and grade 12 students, that was for us very important to assist them in this transition. And so many support interventions were implemented during COVID, and these interventions are still continuing, looking at mental health of our students, not only students but also staff, providing them with the support, providing them with the necessary, also tuition to make sure that they can use the technology. And we also try to provide them again with the opportunities to engage with their fellow students, because we think that that was really missing during the COVID period. So many of these initiatives, and so it's appreciation to all our academic staff. They are also members of the Convocation, but also to our staff in support divisions. I must say we've reflected many times already on the valuable lessons learned during COVID. Although it was a difficult period for all universities, we have also gained very many valuable lessons from that period. And one of that was really to work together within the universities, between support and academic divisions, but also between universities. So lots of sharing of information, of best practices happened. And we are hoping that these practices will continue going forward. Then the President already spoke about the unemployment and that it's very important to address these issues. So I can just also bring comfort to our Convocation members that this is a matter that's very high on our agenda. We're looking at entrepreneurial skills of our students. We're also looking at making sure that our programs remain very relevant. Of course, that the quality is always above standard. There's no query about the standard of our programs, but we also bring into our programs these aspects that will enhance employability and entrepreneurship. So in that regard, you know that we have implemented the 2 AI courses. The one stands for Artificial Intelligence, the other one stands for African Insights. So all these and many more that we are in the process of implementing will enhance employability and entrepreneurial skills of our students. We also now are very happy to see that the campus life is really also picking up. As you know, during COVID, sport activities were put on hold, arts and culture activities were put on hold, but these are now becoming active again. We have the choir already doing performance, and our sport teams are doing very well, so we are happy that that is also picking up. Then I must say, overall, in terms of performance, when we look back at last year in particular, the performance of the university was excellent against the key indicators that are agreed on between the management and the council of the university. So we've performed very well in terms of these indicators and during difficult times during COVID. So in terms of research output, and I'm going to ask Prof. Sinha, our DVC responsible for research, to talk more about that. We've really excelled. Also in terms of our teaching and learning, our success rates of students, we've performed very well. And then there are also indicators that we are measured very closely, and that speaks to our transformation agenda. We look at our staff profile in terms of race and gender at all levels, but in particular at the more senior levels. And then we also look at transformation in terms of the programs that we offer for our students to make sure that we are really an inclusive university. So in all these indicators we've done really well, and it was pleasing to see how the whole university worked together under very difficult circumstances. Now, I want to just pause a little bit and speak about the transition. Now, President Diale already referred to it, that we are now in the process of course, we've elected now a new Convocation Exco, so that is one change that's going to happen. But then there's also the new Vice Chancellor that we are in the process of electing. You know that our Vice Chancellor, it was in the media all over that he was then elected, become the rector of the United Nations University, which has 13 campuses, I think, across the world. Very, very important position. It's for us a loss for the university, but of course we know that it's actually a big advantage for, I think, higher education in general in South Africa. It puts the spotlight on the excellence of higher education in South Africa. So we are very pleased for him, and we wish him well. But we are then in the process of the appointment of a new Vice Chancellor, and the current as well as the new incoming Exco of Convocation will participate in the process. There's a stakeholder group representation that will happen in 2 weeks or so by the shortlisted candidates, and like I say, the current as well as the incoming Exco will participate in that process. It's not the only change. Prof. Diale already referred to the Chancellor's position that is also in the process of being inaugurated. Actually, the appointment was already done, but now the inauguration will happen on the 29th of September, I think. And then also we will very soon start the process of electing a new chairperson of council. But I must say our processes are robust. It is above all, above board. It's on in terms of integrity of our processes. There's no issues there. So I just want to bring also comfort to Convocation members that we follow due processes in all these appointments, and that of course we will keep you informed about the outcome. And then I just want to say that going forward, we are already started the relook of our strategic plan. Our strategic plan was developed up to 2025. We've already started revising or re-looking at our strategic plan. We're not going to change complete direction, but we will do some enhancements, and so we will be able to share that also. But we are still focusing on our goal, which is to really strive for global excellence and stature, and to position the university as a major player in the fourth industrial revolution. So that's not going to change, but there may be some, certain goals that we may need to refocus. We also bringing in the development goals as part of our strategic plan. And so in the end, what we are aiming to do really is to still, reimagine a new future. We want to still make a better future, contribute to that. So that is not going to change, but we will share that with you in due course. So I think then from my side, I want to conclude just by saying again, thank you very much to our outgoing Exco of Convocation. You've done an excellent job. You've provided the service to us, in terms of contributions that we've pressed on your number at any time, and you were willing to offer these services. So we are immensely grateful to you, and we just wish you well wherever you are going, and we know that you're going to remain these excellent ambassadors for UJ, to really fly the UJ flag very high. So thank you very much, and it is the beginning of spring, and so we are also, cognizant of this is the beginning of new life, and so there's also new Exco coming in, and we are looking forward working with you, just as we've been working with the outgoing Exco. So thank you very much, President Diale. I'm going to hand back to you, but I was wondering if I could ask maybe Prof. Saurabh Sinha, I see he's online, our DVC responsible for research, to come in and just talk a bit about the research, because he can do it much better than what I can do. And then also I was wondering if I could ask Dr. Tinus van Zyl, just to share perhaps with the alumni, our digital certificates, because I think that is something important for them to know as well, because our absolutely integrity of our certificates is important to our alumni, to make sure that there's no ever question about that, and I think they will take comfort from what Dr. van Zyl will share. President, can I do that?
Yes, Madam.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask Prof. Sinha to come in, and then Dr. van Zyl. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much, Registrar, and also my appreciation to both the outgoing Convocation Exco, but also to welcome the incoming Convocation Exco. We certainly have learned quite a bit from the outgoing, and looking to continue our work with the Exco. In terms of the research trajectory at the university, it has been quite a period with the COVID-19 period, and we, as some of you may be aware, that it's always very difficult to at times keep to targets during this period, but because of an immense alignment between the university community and the global response on COVID, I think that alignment helped us, and it also kind of showed the agility that we as a university community have towards global causes, and this gave us quite a boost in terms of the research outputs. As you are aware that, some of you are aware that in May this year, when we make submission for research outputs for the previous year, we made a submission of 2,800 research output units, and I don't expect all Convocation members to kind of know what that means, but it does mean a tremendous relative to the previous year increase. And as you know, in the last year, in terms of productivity volume, we were at number 2. And we were also number in terms of, and we also did quite well in terms of the impact related to these research outputs, which gives a feel for the quality of our work. I know that if Professor Tilati Marwala was here today, he would also talk about the university's positioning towards the number 1 in terms of productivity volume, and it does look like we will get there. That's kind of our feel relative to the growth that we had last year. I do see, and it's exciting because I see that some of the alumni who are posting messages on the event Q&A are talking to the engaging further with external stakeholders. And I do think that is something that we deeply welcome. Another target that we exceeded quite well last year was the external research and external funding targets. And that is only possible through the engagements with the with persons like some of you who are on this platform. I see that Mr. Ledwaba has already responded to that, and especially when it comes to finding research and innovation alignment, we will continue to work with you. The registrar talked to the 4IR angle, and that angle remains quite strong for us and has been a key contributor. Many companies are interested and are embracing modern technologies and are looking at leveraging what these technologies could mean for both in terms of change management, in terms of people, in terms of projects and programs. And that continues to be an area of significant interest for us. Chair, I know that the convocation agenda is busy, and so I'm just going to drop my email address into the announcement box for continued engagement and inspiration from the group that is here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Sinha, and thank you for that input, and congratulations to the University of Johannesburg in terms of the various rankings and doing well. We're now going to give to Dr. Tinus van Zyl. Over to you.
Thank you, Prof. Diale. As Prof. Kinta requested, just a brief update. We were the first South African university this year to implement blockchain certificates. This was based on a few initiatives that we started a few years back, where we've implemented digital certificates. We were in the fortunate position to have done that before COVID, so all our graduates had access to their digital certificates well in advance of graduation, so they could use that to share online free of charge with the third parties or prospective employers. So this year the enhancement was again based on the certificate paper, where we've introduced blockchain technology. So each certificate then is issued with a QR code which can be scanned with any smartphone, and then the information is verified, which is on the certificate against the scanned QR code on your phone. So we're hoping that employers and third parties can use that. So anybody can use their smartphone to scan the QR code and verify information. And that's very important for us, because to get a higher education qualification is a huge investment, and it's very important that we do secure that, the integrity of the certification process for the university and all our graduates that receives qualifications from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. van Zyl. Once more, let me remind you, convocation members and alumni in here, that we have our Q&A section there. So please post any questions or any comments that you have on the Q&A that we will respond to as the executive. Allow me to once more congratulate Professor Marwala on his appointment as the Rector of the United Nations University. It gives us a real great honor and pleasure as the University of Johannesburg that he is the first African to assume this role. So we are privileged as the University of Johannesburg, but we also want to say we really believe and trust in the rest of the other UJ members to still take UJ to the next height. Also allow me at this moment, before I take the questions, because as Prof. Kinta has said, there are various changes that are taking place at the University of Johannesburg at this stage. So allow me to thank Prof. Kinta Beda, the Registrar of the University of Johannesburg, because today, Prof. Kinta, this is your last AGM, Convocation AGM. So it is important to really thank you for the role that you have played as the Registrar, which the portfolio was under. We really want to thank you for driving, and I think I saw somewhere in the comments, there was a person who really commented on the comments, if you read the comments, who was congratulating you and thanking you, Prof. Kinta, for the role you've played as the Registrar of this university. I also want to thank, in absentia, our council chairperson, who is finishing his term at the end of this year, in December, Mr. Mike Teke. and we are really grateful for the role you've played in driving the University of Johannesburg as the chair of the council. Convocants and alumni, we are now going into point 8 of our agenda, the question and answer session that I will lead. I am now going to go into, there are comments by members of the convocation and alumni that congratulate you as the outgoing EXCO. Emmanuel says convocation EXCO was never the same at UJ since you come into office. No in any other institution can come close to the UJ EXCO. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Anonymous says, hands off EXCO and Prof Marwala. For the first time, we participate in alumni relations. Big ups again, EXCO. Tando, I see Mr. Nell Ledwaba has responded to you, but we are really looking forward to receiving your email where we engage with you in terms of how you can take part. We are excited that we have people like you who are coming forward and say, I am here, I want to take part in the alumni and in the convocation. And then, as I said, Prof. Kinta, another anonymous says, UJ did so well under you, Madam Registrar. Congratulations. Once more from us as the executive, we congratulate you. I am, by the way, I'm reading these as I'm awaiting questions on the chat. I see Prof. Sinha has put his email in terms of the TVC research at UJ. If you want more information about where the UJ stands in terms of research, you are welcome to email Prof. Sinha. Okay. There is one other aspect that is important. Let me actually first, before I give to Prof. Kinta to talk about graduations, I need to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Nell Ledwaba and the office. I have never, being an academic myself, we've had graduations year after year, which were part of the job and normal. I've never seen exciting graduations like the 2022 graduations where there was a catch-up for the 2020 and 2021 graduates. I think I need to congratulate the MEC of the University of Johannesburg for making the decision to make the catch-up, but more than anything, the people on the ground, Mr. Nell and your office, for running this. For me, I say, what caught my heart, which I want to put as a challenge to the MEC of the University of Johannesburg, the graduations at Soweto brought entrepreneurship or local township entrepreneurship into the fore. The many photographers that came from the township that were used by our graduates are something for us to ponder upon and to take forward as the University of Johannesburg. At some stage, graduations might come back to APK, but let us look at what are the lessons we have learned from graduations that were at the Soweto campus. But congratulations to the office. Prof. Kinta, can you tell us more about the graduations?
Thank you, President. Yeah, so we are very happy that we could do these, catch-up opportunities, crossing the stage opportunities for our graduates who have missed the formal graduation and had to do a virtual graduation during the 2 years of COVID. There were stages when the regulations were lifted slightly that we could allow some of these graduates to come in and take a photo in a gown, but it was just not the same. So we've committed right at the start when we had to cancel our in-person graduations and when we had to use our virtual graduations, that we will give an opportunity to those that have missed the opportunity to cross the stage, to at least, take a photo on the stage and to attend such an event with their parents. So we had to actually do these catch-up ceremonies for 2 years of graduates that have missed it. And we've concluded that now at the end of August. It was not completely in the same format because we just had the numbers, the volumes that we could not, otherwise accommodate in the full formal where you do the capping, etc. That unfortunately we could not do, otherwise it would have been all that we are doing, graduations. But now we're gonna revert back to our old format of graduations. And I know that the graduates also ask, what about the fountain? They want the fountain, they want the photos with the fountain. The fountain has been fixed, and so now we will have it again for our graduations going forward. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Prof. Kinta. I'm going to take a comment from Ernest and from Anonymous because they are, and it's also questions because they are both about entrepreneurship. Ernest say, how can the convocation create inroads for small businesses formed by the alumni to tap on skill set among current UJ students or alumni? And then Anonymous says, there are so many graduates who proceed to become successful entrepreneurs and business people, be it in the careers they studied or not. I believe there should be efforts toward ensuring these entrepreneurs are gathered and often brought together to explore opportunities among each other. This will help build the confidence in entrepreneurship, and there can be many employment opportunities that can be achieved through this initiative. And I also am available to work closely with the convocation with the business unit. Anonymous, firstly, let me answer the last part of your question. Can you please drop Mr. Nell Ledwaba? He has put his email in earlier chat and email, and we will definitely get in touch with you in terms of how you can play a role. But as the project leader of entrepreneurship and unemployment, I am going to give to my deputy president, Ms. Zanele Modiba, to respond.
Good evening, and thank you to the President. Thank you, Ernest and Anonymous, for your questions. I'm going to answer this question in three parts. We definitely welcome your participation and your interest. What we do have going is the Entrepreneurship Conversation series that we held specifically to deal with the entrepreneurial journey and entrepreneurs getting involved. We hosted 2 successful ones in this term, and we will continue to host those Entrepreneurship Conversation series. What we will do once you give us your address, we will make sure that you are one of the individuals who will lead one of the conversations and participate. So you definitely are aligned to our thinking. Additionally, I'm very excited to note that the Small Business Enrichment Program is with UJ, University of Johannesburg, as the e-governance have decided to support small businesses specifically within the ICT unit. These small businesses that are township-based, that are Gauteng-based, and also South African will really make sure that individuals that have businesses already, specifically in the ICT sector, will now get an opportunity to understand from beginning an idea to invoice how to run a business, what you need to do, and really augment the programs. So this is not a new program, but it is for the first time open to alumni. So we really want you to go to our Alumni Connect, where you can, as a small business, look for this application for the ICT sector, a small business enrichment program where you can apply and participate. So we'll have the conversation series and we'll have the specific ICT, because of course, with technology expanding exponentially, we want to really focus on ICT as well. And then lastly, we're going to make sure that from our alumni house, we've decided in our previous Convocation Expo meeting that we want to look at ways in which we can bring in entrepreneurs within our ecosystem. And one of the things that we're looking to have is really a co-working session within our alumni house, which means entrepreneurs, business owners, small business owners who want to impart knowledge, build a network, and really make sure that they are accessible to other young entrepreneurs and nascent entrepreneurs will have a place within alumni house where they can interact. Those details are still being fine-tuned, but we are definitely looking at opportunity to make sure that you can network with other business owners and make sure that those graduates who are interested in entrepreneurship have access to your skills as well. So thank you very much for those questions. Please get Mr. Nell Ledwaba to take your details so that we can engage and make sure that the new Exco carries those programs forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy President. I see the person who asked the question has ratified in terms of anonymous is Jabulani Shabalala. Jabulani, thank you for that question. We are really looking forward and excited to engage with you. I am looking at my chat. I don't see leadership. If I'm missing any question, please, but I'm looking through. I don't see any question that I am missing. Yes. Okay. We don't have any questions. Okay. Then Nonhlanhla, can we create a task team for young UJ graduates who want to learn more about UJ alumni work? Nonhlanhla, a brilliant idea. Actually, I am going as Mr. Nell Ledwaba now. I was going to ask Mr. Nell Ledwaba to talk about Alumni Connect and the initiatives. And your question actually talks exactly to that issue. So I see Mr. Nell Ledwaba was beginning to type, but he can actually respond to this.
Yes, we are inviting all alumni to join Alumni Connect. It's a digital platform that enables them to interact and correspond with their alma mater. I'm going to have also already dropped the link to our Alumni Connect, which is ujalumni.co.za. It's a very good platform. You can also have access some job opportunities. You can also create some affinity groups or chapters. You can also join some mentoring opportunities that are available. So it's a very good platform. If you make use of it, it will benefit you. Thank you, President.
Thank you so much, Nell. So, Nonkululeko, I said Nonkululeko, sorry for calling your name wrong and putting Nonkululeko. Nonkululeko, I hope you have that email there and you can get in touch with us in terms of how do we get you as young graduates to learn more about the work of the alumni. It is also important, we just want to make you aware, Prof. Kinta, in her address, Prof. Kinta spoke about 2 free short learning programs, which are both AI, but the one is the African Insights and the other one is Artificial Intelligence. And both of these courses are open for our alumni. Just get into our website, our alumni website, and you can do these courses free of charge, mahala, purely because you are part of us, you are part of the alumni. So I'm trying to gauge, we're going down 3. I'm counting down now to see. There seems to be no further questions. There seems to be no further questions. In the absence of any questions, we hope we have addressed many of your questions. As we have said, some of the questions that were sent to us as part of the agenda, we addressed them as part of our address. That's why probably we don't have them here. Allow me then to go to the next item, which is item number 9. As we had said when we started that this is our last AGM as the executive of the convocation, as the outgoing executive of the convocation. Item number 1 has to do with the introduction of the new executive committee of the convocation. I am going to request my deputy president to announce to us who the new executive of the convocation are. Madam Deputy President, over to you.
Thank you to Professor Diale, but in honoring Prof. Diale, our outgoing president, and our registrar, Prof. Kinta, I want to say that numbers do not lie. You have led us with distinction. You've made sure that we had 1 well-oiled alumni office led by Nell Ledwaba and his team, 3 chapters launched, 5 out of 6 successful projects, 8 magazines published, 11 affinity groups and counting, 19 events, hundreds of meaningful conversations, thousands of social media interactions. Well done, Prof. Your part in building has been noted. Now it's time to introduce the next leadership, our next executive committee of the convocation. We've got Mr. Leslie Mpunzi, who is now new president, and council member, Prof. Diale, our outgoing president, the new deputy president and EXCO member, Ms. Nondumiso Mvubu, our EXCO member, our current and future EXCO member, as well as a member of council, Kuto Ramutla, a member of EXCO, Nagedi Mahoro, a member of EXCO. Congratulations and well wishes for your new term. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Zanele. As I had said earlier on, as the EXCO, we take our hats off you. We hope we have safely landed this plane in 2022. And we look forward to take onto the Airbus 2022 to 2025. With those words, thank you, everyone. Have a blessed weekend ahead. Goodbye as we sign off.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.